Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the build. We are now on part 5 of our Polar Lights 1/1000th USS Reliant, so let's get right to it. We now have our sensor dome in place, and on the opposite side of this, I mounted a 2mm LED backed up with some hot glue and then some Molotov over that to get some reflection back into the dome. Let's light this up and I'll show you what this looks like. I've got a battery temporarily connected to those two wires coming out of the sensor dome. You can see we've got those two nice red lights at the front. And on the side we got some light coming out there. And on the other side. And of course on the back. We do have some light leak underneath there. I take care of that with a little bit of tulip. I just put some tulip underneath there, fills it in. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I really like how those front lights turned out. I'm test fitting my nacelles to the hull here. It took a little bit of doing to get them in there because of all the painting, and this is a snap-tight kit, but they're in now. They're looking pretty good. I've come to the conclusion I have to attach these after I attached the hull on top here because of this gap right there. That gap is for the hull. I cannot attach the nacelles and then attach the top on because of that, which is fine, but I have to do a few things first in here. I'm going to have to be creating wires running out those holes to the nacelles. On the wires themselves, I'm going to have to put some resistors because there are no resistors within the nacelles themselves. So I have to remember to attach a couple of these guys before I run those wires out of those two holes. I've done the same thing on the bridge that I did on the sensor dome. That is to mount a 2mm LED in there and back it up with some hot glue. And more hot glue on the bottom with some Molotov chrome. Two wires just running out there to the mains. We're gonna put the bridge on here. You're not going to be able to see much, but yeah, it's on there. So let's light this up and see exactly what it looks like. And here is that 2mm bulb lit up. You can see it's not attached, so we get a ton of light bleed. That'll look a lot better once it's in place. But it gives plenty of light out our little created windows there. You can see a little light leak I take care of on the top there. Got our little bulbs in back working, on the top working. Everything is just peachy. So after trying a bunch of techniques to get red light out of those little windows like fiber optics and red gels, I said forget it and just painted that bulb and everything around it red. So now we get proper red light out of those little holes there. We're getting a little bit of red light out the other two, but that's okay. Not that bad. I'm not attaching this to the hull because there is a decal that goes on underneath it. So that thing's going to set off for a while. We also have some detail painting done there. You can see the blue. So this thing is ready to go and be attached to the bottom. I've inserted our nacelle wires with resistors. You can see right there. And they go out those holes there. I left a little bit of extra wire just in case. You never know. So everything is now tied into our mains. You can see everything is tied together. So that side is ready to go. Our top is ready to go. All we need to do is take those wires on the top, solder them onto the bottom, and we can get these two halves together. I've now glued our two hull halves together. We have it all clamped up. I have some tissue paper on the clamps just to protect the paint. Not that it matters. We're going to be repainting this anyways, so it's kind of silly, but it's there. We have this big bad seam to deal with. You can see it's really bad back here. Lots of details to not sand off on the back while we're doing our seam work. We have our two wires going out that bottom base hole right there. So I'm just going to let this set aside and dry most of the day to make doubly, triply, quadruply sure it's ready to go. Our glue dry, our clamps removed. We can now take a look at that seam. Along this edge, it actually doesn't look too bad. Not much going on there until you get to right about there, and then it starts to become horrible. And then there it's just worse. So we're going to take some of our Tamiya putty, we're going to slather it all around here liberally and get to sanding. We are working on our seam. We've got putty, we've got tape to protect our windows. So I think this is a couple of rounds of putty. We're starting to get those seams filled in. I still have to drill those holes, which hopefully won't crack the putty, but that's where we're going to call it for this video, you guys. I'm just going to get into puttying this thing and show you what that looks like when it's done next time. So, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank all my old subs and all my new subs. You guys are equally rad, and until next time, you guys take care.